amazed at what had been told them by the shepherds. And Mary kept all these things, reflecting on them in her heart. Then the shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all they had heard and seen, just as had been told to them. When 8 days were completed for his circumcision, he named Jesus, the name given him by the angel before he was conceived in the womb. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Mother of God. Or Merry Christmas. And they'll say, what? We're right in the middle of it. We're not even halfway through the Christmas season. Wouldn't that be a great opportunity to share the life that God has poured out in our hearts and what He has done for us? It would be different, wouldn't it? You know what the meaning of holy is? Different. God's different than we are in the most beautiful way. So what if we more and more climatized our own souls to the liturgical year instead of the chronological year? Because the chronological year, that's just going to end in physical death. The liturgical year is going to end up in life eternal. So I invite you, I challenge you to do that today. To say Merry Christmas to people. Or, hey, Solemnity of Mary, Mother of God, have a great solemnity today. And they'll be like, what? And maybe you might make a difference. And maybe your day might become more significant than just a chronological day in the calendar. I was at Clackamas Town Center yesterday, and I was praying for those who passed and all the affliction there. And just quick jaunt through there, but I saw someone, a former parishioner, and we were talking in my first parish, and we were talking. She goes, well, how's it going? I said, it's good. We're blessed, and God's good, and we're looking at moving forward and building a new church. And she looked at me, and can you believe what she said? She goes, you talk too much. I'm like, do you need a hug right now? Or unbelievable. And it was definitely not a blessing. And I thought about that, in terms of the feast that we celebrate today. That's a very immature statement to me. That's immature. That's not about God. Those aren't God's words. That's not redemptive. That's not life-giving. That's immature. That's really, it's taking somebody else lightly. Immaturity. What's immaturity? Immaturity is like the little kid. I want it my way. I want it my way. Isn't that immaturity? I want it my way. I want it my way. I'm going to have that. Being a control freak. Anybody struggle with that? This is my day. This is how my day is going to go. This is how this person is going to relate to me. This is how this is going to end up. This is how my job is going to look. This is how this relationship is going to flower and bloom. And we don't know. But we try to control so much. And we keep God at bay when we try to control. Because who becomes God? We become God. I want it my way. We celebrate Mary today, the Mother of God. Mary is the moon. We don't see Mary, and she's just a pot-marked mass, blob in the darkness, if but for the sun. The only way we can see the moon is because of the sun. And we've seen the moon. It's been beautiful at night. Being able to see that. Only because of Jesus. And she would be the first one to tell you that. She just reflects the life pattern of Jesus. The life pattern of the Trinity that's been happening forever. That's been perfect forever. So, as we celebrate our call to maturity this day, we look at Mary and we ask her to pray for us that we can be the moon and reflect the sun in honor of Mary and her love for her son Jesus. That's maturity. As I think about Mary, how mature, so mature. 14-year-old girl, had her plans, had her visions of what it's all about, and I got turned totally upside down. And she is the reflection of a mature heart. Have it your way. Live for you. Live in you. Saying yes to that life pattern of God. And then we see Paul in our second reading today. Because Mary was the moon and reflected the sun, Paul is able to teach us. You can cry out to God our Father and you can say, Abba, Daddy. That's what it was like. Paul was killing people. He was taking physical lives. He was angry. He was bitter. He was, I'm going to have it my way. And then God came into his life because Mary was the moon and she reflected the sun and she said yes. And Paul was able to experience Christ because Mary said yes. And so Mary, as she said yes, obviously to Christ, that was the point of encounter in her own womb. As Mary said yes and allowed Paul to say yes, Paul became the point of encounter for us today. And that's what you can do. And that's what you can be when you tell somebody Merry Christmas today. When you tell them Happy Feast of the Solemnity of Mary, the Mother of God. You can be different. You just don't have to be chronological. You can be eternal as we celebrate that and seek to reflect the sun being the moon. And this whole idea of Abba being able to say that. So Paul went from killing people in his murderous threats to the idea of like, I can go up and I can sit in Daddy's lap and I can just be with Daddy. Brothers and sisters, that's where we need to go. Even if you're 190 years old, you're his child. Better to be a child of God than king of the whole earth. And a child of God surrenders, right? Because the child of God trusts and jumps in the Father's lap. Says, you're my security, you're my provision, I trust you. But when we control, and we're control freaks, and we're trying to tell everybody what to do and how to be and how to relate and how it's supposed to end up and the outcomes, then we push God our Father further and further away. But Mary, because she said yes to Jesus, allowed Jesus to come into the world, and Jesus is the one who gives us the Spirit, crying out, Abba, Father. And we can come up to his lap, and he can teach us what his love is truly all about. What happens when we come up into his lap and spend that intimate time with the Father, which we should do, which we are invited to do each day. He waits for us. Remember talking about believing. If we believe that there's a living, loving Father on the other side of our prayer, then we'll pray. If we don't, what use is it? I pray. Do you believe? A couple things that are a sign of maturity, I think we see in our readings today. The shepherds. The shepherds, because Mary said yes, came to the point of encounter of Jesus in the manger. And they experienced Jesus. And what was their response? Praising and rejoicing. I would posit that that's probably the first and one of the greatest responses to Christ is being thankful and praising God. A couple of examples of that. I got a call from New Orleans this morning, and I was at the office getting ready for today, different things, and this woman called and she wanted to thank me for helping out her son. And I have no idea who it was, who I helped out, because I'm just trying to do the best I can with all that's coming. But I thought, there's a mature woman. She said thanks. Do you know how many don't? Do you? You're wonderful in doing that, by the way, and thank you for that. But let's do that for each other. That's a sign of maturity, is being grateful. And I know well, in my own growing up in family, how thankless I was to my parents for all their sacrifice. We have an opportunity to grow in that. So that maturity of just being thankful and grateful. And then A second thing is the great sign of maturity is blessing. The blessing and blessing other people, blessing the name of God. And that doesn't mean just saying words, but really trying to live out and fulfill that blessing for that person so that they can know the greatness of God. And we have that in our first reading today, the numeric blessing, which is a famous prayer that we are blessed by this morning in the liturgy. The woman who said, I talk too much, she could say that, and that's takes life away if you take words seriously. Or she could have said nothing. But guess what our call is? It's not to talk negatively, and it's not to say nothing. Those aren't the options. The option is to bless. While you have the chance to bless. And that's what that woman who called me from New Orleans this morning, she blessed me. She said thanks. And that's the opportunity that we have for each other as we reflect the Son. Say to them, the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord let his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord look upon you kindly and give you peace. Each and every person, we have the opportunity to do that. May the Lord fill you with grace. May he give you peace. May I be there to help you experience that in any way, shape, or form so that you can know that. The blessing and the thanksgiving. Those are the signs of maturity. Are you mature?